to take away my sins. Welcome, listeners. Welcome, listeners and viewers to the Financial Empowerment and Motivational Show. We are broadcasting from the Positive Radio Show 106.9 FM with none other than Auntie Donna Moore Stewart with a corn color. And we are on positiveradio.com. This is your host, Christine Gallimore Wright. I'm a licensed insurance producer and a financial and living benefits advocate. I can be reached at 888 225 9593 or on my webpage, livingbenefits4u.com. That living benefits with an S, the number U, the number 4, and the letter U.com. So for today, our main topic will be, of course, taxes. And we're going to have a prayer for all those who are in harm's way and for the soldiers, of course. So, and for everybody across the world. All right. Our Father, our God, bless our young patriots, our idols of our hearts, as they go forth to battle, be thou near them. With them in spirit, we also go forth from the sweet peace of our beloved fireside to smite the foes. Lord, please be with everyone waiting to be rescued. Keep them safe and bring them help soon. God bless each and every person afflicted by this war. Surround them with your love, protections, and your angel. Let them know there are millions of us out here praying for them and their safe return and their loved ones. Amen. Right. Today, I'm going to have my affirmations, of course. The first one that I always try to do is to treat myself with genuine self-respect and a compassion every day. I tell the negative voice in my head to take a hike and make space only for loving, compassionate self-talk. I prioritize my health and I think about what's truly serving me with each decision I make to take care of my body. I know exactly what's needs to be done today to grow my business and myself, and I'm committed to getting it done in a productive and efficient way. These are my affirmations. Okay. And of course, I have my goals, which is I always try to learn something new, not necessarily every day, but within the week. And if you want, you could pick up a hobby, play more, eat fewer calories. Of course, I'm trying to do that. Write a business plan and read more books. Of course, I have lots of books to read. I have bought quite a few books from some new authors that we've discovered, and they're very interested books. And of course, we have Auntie Donna's book. Please go and pick it up. It's on sale right now on Amazon. What I learned this week, it is basically learning what I learned and how to put it in, the necessary perspective. Because we as children, we are encouraged to learn something new every day. If you have children, you will know that they are little sponges. And the sooner you get them to learn new things, it'd be better for them, right? Have them taking part in extracurricular activities. And of course, when they get bigger, they join cultural and activist groups. And of course, when they get a little older, most likely in the teenagers, then whoops, something happened, which is adulthood. So we went from being curious children to adults, okay, dedicated to a 9 to 5 job, which majority of us don't find it rewarding, right? I mean, adopting routines that really ever change. That is a 9 to 5 job. It's not rewarding. These kids these days, I notice they want to learn something different. If you notice how they master the computer at tender age, we didn't even know what computers were when we were their ages, but they master it. They be teaching grandma and their parents how to do stuff on the computer, which is fabulous. See how we learn to say that routine limits our brain ability to learn new skills and knowledge, right? So this is worrisome because learning new skills, I can agree, is important towards our happiness. That's me. Whenever I learn anything new, there's a rush of dopamine. I'm going to get to that in a bit. And that is crucial to our happiness. You may hear that the brain is like a muscle. Just like other muscles in the body, you have to exercise the brain, of course, to learn new things. Okay, so ample research shows that learning helps build neuron connections and can stave off diseases like Parkinson's and can make your brain grow stronger so that the act of learning actually makes us happier. So learning new stuff makes us happier. I can attest to that. So my new thing that I learned this week, listen carefully people, this one is a little technical, but I'll break it down, is why new things make us feel so good. There's a section in our brain known as the SN slash VTA. That's what I learned a few days ago. And that the SN is the substantia nigra, and the VTA is ventral tegmental area. Okay. And that is the major origin of dopamine in the brain. So the dopamine that allows you to feel pleasure, satisfaction, and also motivation. When you feel good, when you feel good that you've achieved something, it is a surge of dopamine in the brain. So the SN slash VTA is a part of the brain that is linked to the learning and the memory parts. It is best known as the novelty center because it lights up when you're exposed to a new stimuli. A stimuli is something that stirs up or urges an action, usually from outside the body, by exciting by an exciting receptor or sense organ. You exercise a rush of dopamine, which is one of the chemicals that motivates us, of course, towards rewards. Not only us, animals too, right? You be playing animals, you be playing with your doggy or your cat, and you have the treat. You tell them to fetch certain things, and of course when they fetch it and do good, you treat them with a doggy bone and stuff like that, so that gives them a rush of dopamine to go and do good. Right? So the novelty center is the brain of your brain is activated when you get a rush of dopamine. Right? So you get another rush of dopamine when you finish your activity, of course. It is no surprise that researchers found dopamine is closely linked to learning process. In short, learning new things stimulates happiness, chemical brain. Learning is fundamentally positive for your mental health. So go out there, learn something new. It doesn't have to be something new. Just revisit certain things that you might have been taught earlier in your life. Revisit it, refresh it, and of course, you will be very rewarded with your dopamine. So, our main topic of today is taxes. Uncle Sam, our favorite uncle, he gets paid first. He gets paid before even you. He knows that. So at least 40% of your blood, sweat, and tears is going to him. Whether we like it or not, he's taking it. Whether he deserves it or not, he is taking it. He don't care if your roads ain't fixed, your lights are not fixed, whatever is not done, he doesn't care. He's taking the taxes. All right. So it's best that we try to learn what we could do, especially when it comes to deduction, so we could at least leverage certain things to at least come out a little ahead with our taxes. And the deduction is the main part, and itemizing. So, what is tax deduction? It is also known as write off. It lowers your taxable income so you could pay less overall. You can either go with a standard deduction or with a predetermined amount that is subtracted from your income, or itemized deductions. So when you itemize your deduction, you have to exceed your standard deduction, or it is not smart to itemize, or your uncle is gonna take a deeper look into that itemizing. Okay. So to increase the standard deduction, only 10% of mostly wealthy American itemize their deductions. Okay. So the standard deduction are when you're a single filer, $12,550. When you're married jointly with surviving spouses, it's 25,100. And for married filing separately, that's $12,550. If you're a head of the household, $18,000. These are the standard deductions for the taxes. And let me clarify this and make this clear. Tax deductions are different from tax credit. A tax deduction decreases your taxable income, whereas a tax credit lowers the amount of taxes you owe the IRS. Now we're going to come to another segment that we call the AGI. The AGI is the adjusted gross income. These are deductions that are typically calculated from something called your gross income. So for retirement, the IRS uses this information and more to calculate your AGI. For instance, how much you make for the year, you you ought to know that. What about the amount you contribute to retirement? So your AGI, which is your adjusted gross income, that includes your wages, your alimony income if there's a divorce, of course, if the divorce is finalized, your dividend income, your retirement distributions, and your business income. Also, if you have a student loan, the interest on that, and the HSA, which is a health savings account contribution, and many contributions to a traditional IRA can be deducted also. So whatever is left out from those deductions, those are your AGI, which is your adjusted gross income. So let me delve a little more into the standard versus the itemized deductions. If your potential deductions equal more than the standard deduction, itemizing will lower your taxable income and save you money. Let me make it a little simpler. If you're a young single person paying rent with a full-time job, right, you almost certainly have to do a standard deduction because your deductible expenses probably don't total more than $12,550. But if your financial portfolio is bigger, you have a mortgage, you have property taxes, and large medical expenses, then you might benefit from itemizing. Okay, let me take a break here. And of course, let everybody know where we broadcasting from. Of course, we're broadcasting from Positive Radio 106.9 FM, New York, with none other than our own Auntie Donna Moore Stewart, the one with a corn collar, of course, right? And at POZYTYVEradio.com. And as I said, my name is Christine Galmo, right? And I can be reached at 888 225 9593. And also my website, livingbenefits4u.com. That's livingbenefits with the S, the number 4, and the letter U.com. You could go there and sign up for my newsletter. I could give you more valuable insights and tips about finance and everything else. Okay. All right. So we were talking about itemizing, and of course, I said, if you have a bigger portfolio like mortgages, you got to pay property taxes and medical expenses that you could think about, of course, itemizing because when you have a property, you could itemize the taxes and other deductibles. Like if you did any expansion or upgrade on your home, you could do that. But because I've had this situation happen to me, it can only be done when the first stage of your mortgage. So you just purchased the house for the first year. There's just certain things you could itemize. Don't go about doing this the second and the third year. Ain't nobody gonna expand or do the kitchen every year. So Uncle Sam will call up on that. So don't do it. All right. So here are some common deductions. You have charitable contributions. So if you give money to a charity during the year, last year, you could be eligible for a tax deduction. But of course, that organization that you made a contribution to, it has to be a non-profit organization. Usually these are religious or educational or charitable groups. It has to be for a non-profit organization for you to itemize those contributions. And there are also limitation on what you can include in the deduction. If you donated, say, to a local radio station like ours, of course, and and they sent you a thank you, say, T-shirt, you can't deduct the value of the T-shirt. Say the T-shirt values, um, say your contribution is say $100, and the T-shirt was worth $20. You can only deduct $80 from that. Okay, so the T-shirt worth $20, and you contribute $100. You can only deduct $80 on your taxes. You could also deduct the charitable contributions up to 50% of your AGI. Also, there are limits to churches, hospital, and college up to 50%. Under the CARES Act rules, some people call it the Obama CARES Act, you can deduct up to 300 of charitable contributions for the year before, which is 2021, even if you don't itemize that. That amount is $600 if you're married filing jointly. So if you don't itemize it, you could deduct up to $600 if you're married and filing jointly. For the mortgage interest you pay on your home, that can amount to a lot. We out here, we knows that, right? So as I said before, it's particularly at the beginning of the loan. That's when you're allowed to deduct a certain amount, right? They'll go about doing this every year. And the applicable debt is $750,000 or $375,000 if you're married filing separately. Okay, they said if you bought your home on or before 2017, you can deduct the mortgage interest up to $1 million or $500,000 if you're married and filing separately. For the property taxes, you can deduct state and local taxes up to $10,000 or $5,000 if you're married and filing separately. Okay. For medical expenses, if you had a significant amount of expenses last year that weren't covered by your insurance, you can get a deduction. But these bills must equal to 7.5% or higher of your AGI to qualify. And then there's a limitation too. For someone with an AGI of $50,000, that means you can't deduct medical expenses unless they exceed $3,750 or 7.5%. And we're going to talk about some qualified medical expenses, of course, bills paid to your doctors, dentists, chiropractors, hospital visits or stays, nursing home care, some weight loss programs, addiction programs, prescription medications, transportation to and from medical appointments, acupuncture, dentures, crutches, wheelchairs, and service animals, and prescription glasses or contact lens. So all of these are qualified medical expenses. Means that you could claim for them. All right. As a teacher and educator, believe it or not, IRS will allow K-12 teachers to deduct up to $250 or $500 for married filing jointly for teachers' expenses such as classroom materials. Now, why on earth would the teacher have to be going into their pockets to for all these materials? But sometimes, most times it happens. In an ideal world, teachers, they have to pay out of the pocket for school supplies, so at least they know they could, deduct it from their taxes when they're filing. For student loan interest, this is one we ought to pay attention to, students and parents alike. If you paid interest on your student loans, you can deduct up to $2,500 in interest payments. But if you earn less than $70,000 for single filers or $140,000 if you're married jointly. Okay. So above that, the deduction phases out, but those earning up to $85,000 as single filers or $170,000 for those who are married and filing jointly, they can get a reduced deduction. Okay, this is the tricky part. But this only applies for people filing their own tax returns. Okay, so that means if you have a student loan and you filing for your own tax return, if you're listed as an independent on your parents' tax return, guess what? Only mommy and daddy can file for that deduction. Okay, you can't do it. Of course not, you can't. You're a student. So only mommy and daddy can do it because you're a dependent on your parents' tax returns. So please don't do it. Don't do it. Don't try. You can't claim this deduction because if your loan is the loan is not in your name, of course, so you can't. There's no way you're gonna get around that. So your parents took out the loan on your behalf, they will get the deduction, of course. Now, it's up to mommy and daddy when the taxes come in. All right, let me give you a little treat, a little reward for doing good in school. Okay, I would love that. And if you're in the military, members of the military are eligible to deduct moving expenses. I know a lot of people, they go from base to base overseas, and each time they have to move here and there, which is hard. So they can get a deduction for moving expenses for their taxable income. Civilians also could deduct moving expenses, but the deduction is limited to military personnel. So for HSA, let me cover that a bit. HSA means Health Savings Account contribution. I'm very familiar with it because I do have one. And you can use that account other than to pay for prescription. And there's a certain amount that you could save. I know there's a certain amount you could have in that account. And they give you a card, like a Visa or MasterCard. You could use that and take to the pharmacy or anywhere you're gonna pay for anything medical related. You could use that. That is called a HSA account. It's usually taken out from your wages. If you're with the big corporation, they usually present that to you, give you that option, which is good because sometimes I think you could use it for co-payment too. Yeah, I think you could. I never did, but I think you could use it for co-payment. So it's good. It's a little saving, and sometimes you never know that you want to pay for new glasses and the money is not available at hand. You could use that, which is a health savings account. So when that option comes around, your coworker presents it to you, I think you should go for it. It's just a minimal amount of your income is taken out put towards it. Self-employment expenses. If you're self-employed, you can deduct quite a few expenses, but they're tricky. For the home office, you can deduct the space that it has to be devoted to your own office if you're self-employed. You must use the space exclusively for business. I don't know who's going to come check out my home office. I'm using it just for business anyway. Okay. But listen to this. Oh my word. You cannot use take a deduction if you're traditionally employed. Mean that my husband is in this situation. He's traditionally employed, but because of COVID-19, he is forced to work remotely, and because of other stuff that's happening, he has to work remotely. And believe it or not, he can't do a deduction working from home. But yet still he have a dedicated spot, everything, printers, laptop, big screens, everything that we have to spend our money to set up that home office, chairs, ergonomic chairs. Of course, you're sitting down, sometimes in the 10 hours for the day for work, you want a comfortable chair, ergonomic settings and all of that. You spend all your money. And for the internet, you spend all your money for that. The company not giving you nothing extra. And the IRS says you cannot make a deduction for that because you're working remote and because of COVID-19. So be careful, people. Be careful. Also, for education as a self-employed individual, you can deduct things like for tuition, for books, lab fees, or for maintaining or improving your upskills. All right, you could do that for education. So me, if my husband want to do something to upskill, take an additional course, he could deduct that. But he can't say that because he's working remotely because of COVID, he's gonna deduct certain things. So there's the catch. And for a car, transportation, if you use your car for business, such as driving to meetings, meeting vendors, clients, you can deduct, listen to this, 56 cents per mile. Just that. 56 cents per mile you're allowed to deduct. So it's best to keep your gas receipts. If you pay with cards, make sure to check your statement, save your statements, and make sure it is stated that you purchased fuel at a certain station, at the station that it's save those. and of course present them to your CPA, your accountant, whoever's taking care of your taxes, because you're allowed to deduct 56% per mile. Hey, this is where I comes in. Health insurance premiums. If you're self-employed, I can deduct my health insurance premiums. I can also take deductions minus any subsidies I have received if I have health insurance through a state or federal marketplace. Okay. Now for your IRA contribution, which is your retirement contribution. You could take a tax deduction if you contribute to a traditional IRA as a part of your retirement savings portfolio. I love this part. This is my finest. Okay? But the maximum contribution is $6,000 and $7,000 for those over age 50. You may be able to deduct your contribution depending on how much money you earn, whether you or your spouse has an employer-sponsored retirement plan. So your CPA should consult the guidelines for those limits. And just to summarize what we've been through, of course, Uncle Sam's taxes, we got to get it done by April 15th. Right? It's about tax deductions and what we can itemize and not. Charitable contribution, of course, up to 300 in charitable deductions. If you're single filer or married, you can deduct that amount. You paid in interest on your loan. If you paid 7.5 or more of your AGI, which is your adjusted gross income, in medical expenses, you can deduct those expenses, right? And there are two reasons why you might choose to itemize your deductions for this year. The first one is because your allowable itemized deductions are higher than your standard deduction. The second reason, because you're not able to use your standard deduction. That makes sense. All right. Okay, so there ends our taxes with Uncle Sam. And of course, do you know you could do your taxes for free? You could go to irs.gov and there you could prep and file online using their guided preparations. I think there's a software you could, after you get on, make an account, there's a software that you get privy to, and you could file your taxes for free there. irs.gov. All right. And I know Jackson Hewitt, sometimes they're in some Walmarts, they giving you, I get to understand it today, they're giving you $100 if you change over to them. Say you were using another entity, the company to file your taxes, and you want to change, or you're not satisfied, you want to change over to Jackson Hewitt. You can find him online, of course, jacksonhewitt.com, and use the code F as in Frank, K for King, X for Xerox, M money, and the number 3. So FKXM3. Use that code. So if you happen to go into a Jackson Hewitt, use that code. But the offer only lasts until March 6th. So you got to get on it now, and they're offering you $100 if you change over to them and have them do your taxes. And also, it's a good thing. They're very good. You could drop your documents off. All right. Or you could book appointment online, and they open until 9 p.m. some days, which why I like them, because sometimes you don't have the time during the day to get to them within the 9 to 5. So it's good that they open some office open until 9 p.m. of course, which they could accommodate people like us who works long hours. So that's it for taxing, everybody. Taxes. So I wanna tell everybody where we're coming from again. POZYTYVE.com, 106.9 FM, New York, with none other than our own author, Auntie Donna Moore Stewart, the one with the corn color. And shh, this is a secret. She's having the book launch Monday at 9 p.m. And it's also her birthday. Don't tell her that I tell you. It's her birthday. The 28th, it's her birthday. Don't tell her that I tell you. So we're having an event for her. Two celebrations. Her birthday and her book launch. Is there anything greater to happen to a very wonderful person than our own Auntie Donna Moore Stewart? Go to get her book. I have mine. A lot of people's buying it. It's flying off the shelves. Very good read. Okay. So it's about time, coming down to the time that I will wrap up. But I have a little more information. This is about a business venture that for all the culinary minded people out there, I am definitely in touch with this company. I won't say. So if you want to know who it is and how to get in touch with them, you have to call me or go to my website, sign up for my newsletter, and put in it that you're interested about getting set up with this company. It's a culinary company. It's a home chef community-based marketplace opportunity. It's homemade food. You make it. They will set you up. They will use your home kitchen. They will give you training, all of the training you need, and they will connect you and provide you with all the training, food safety on that, and it's for free. It's basically free. You just purchase their kit for $25. That's it. And then with that, they set you up. They give you the onboarding and everything. And you're gonna have to do at least 8 of your favorite dishes. You're gonna have to prepare that and upload it in your system. And they're gonna have like a virtual audition, which is cool. It's just $25 to purchase the kits, and they set you up. So if you are interested in doing that, all the good cooks, they're definitely looking for Caribbean-based culinary personnels. I spoke to them, and they definitely do. They will set you up and put you on the road to success. But to get the information, you're gonna have to email me or call me and put in the subject line a home-based chef opportunity. Again, my number is 888-225-9593 or livingbenefitsforyou.com. That's livingbenefits, the number 4, the letter U.com. Again, I wish everybody a good, successful week and weekend. And oh, my lippies. How do I forget my lippies over here? POZYTYVELIPS.com. Okay, we have here Mr. Magnanimous, Mr. Empowered. All of these are inspired by Auntie Donna followers, right? And I am Resilience Christine. Okay, so you could go to Positive Radio. Yes, POZYTYVERadio.com. A link is there for merch, but we have one dedicated for the lips, the POZYTYVELIPS.com. And purchase your lip line. Purchase our lip lines, which is good for men and women. The men have their glasses, and lip balms and all that. So go there and support the broadcast. Of course, when you log in, please subscribe, like, and share. Bye. Talk soon.
And ask no pain.